afternoon. Welcome to episode 6 of the Grounded Podcast. No pause. We back, man. I apologize, man. I got my videographer acting outrageous this morning. But we back, man. Episode 6. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe it's been 6 weeks on the podcast. 6 episodes. So if you're hearing this right now, welcome to episode 6 of the Grounded Podcast. So we've come a long way. I'm glad that I got this started. I'm glad that I didn't kind of sit on my hands any longer. And I'm also glad that this wasn't one of those things that I left on the back burner and kept it there. Because I feel like there's too many times to where there's so many things we want to do and it's on there in the back burner and we're just like, well, I'll get to it when it's the right time, when it's the right time. Let me tell you something, man. There is no right time. That's what this episode is about today, man. If you could title this episode today, the episode for today is There Is No Right Time to Do Anything. So I'm gonna give a little, little deep dive into, as I've talked about, Hometown Barbell 5904 Enterprise Court, Frederick, Maryland 21703 301 514 6583. Info at hometownbarbell.com if you need to reach me. So I've talked a lot about hometown and like what it means, et cetera, et cetera. But for today, I kind of want to, like I said, episode is called The Right Time. And for today, I kind of want to show you that if I would have waited for the right time, there would be it still wouldn't open. Like I'd still be waiting on it. It'd still be sitting on the back burner and I would just be waiting for the right time. I've heard a lot of people say like, how do you know when, like, all the saying when people say like, when you know. Sometimes you're like, how do you know when it's actually your time to like do whatever you're supposed to be doing? How'd you know you were supposed to get married at 18? How'd you know you were going to have kids by 19? How'd you know that you were going to try to start a business when you were 25? How'd you know when, and guess what? I did not know. Things just happen and you just kind of roll with it. So when the gym first opened up, or let me step back. When the gym first started and it was just kind of an idea, I remember it vividly. It was Thanksgiving of 2022. And no, take that back. Thanksgiving of 2021, actually. And so at the time, I'm just planning everything out. I had a bunch of different logos. And if my videographer is actually as good as he claims, I'm going to share some of the old like Hometown Barbell logos, right? He's going to actually put it in my hand this time. So it's going to be right here in this box. So that's kind of the big thing. It was just planning. It was just kind of a planning period for me. And I was just trying to figure out, okay, like what's the gym going to be called? The very first name I had for the gym was 301 Iron. That was the first name I had for the gym. I have old documents, old, pic art, old logos, everything. 301 Iron. If you would have asked me, even before COVID, what would the name of your gym be? It'd be 301 Iron. Even when I didn't live in Maryland, it would have been 301 Iron. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, as we kind of dive further into the meaning of the gym and all that stuff, someone asked like, what does 301 Iron even mean? I'm like, oh, I'm from Frederick and, the area code is 301 and, 301 Iron. And then I was thinking, I'm like, it's not really like clicking though. It's not really clicking. And the common theme that I kept thinking about was like 301 from your hometown. It's from your hometown. Like 301's your hometown. And I'm like, hometown. Okay. Like it's starting to click. And I didn't even like that at first. I thought it was kind of whack, but here we are, Hometown Barbell 5904 Enterprise Court. So fast forward, the business plan is done and, a lot of the planning and preparation in regards to everything with the business and what it would kind of look like and how it would be modeled, how it would be marketed, how much would I need to get it started. And so that's when I started shopping for some warehouses. So I was going all over Frederick. I mean, all over Frederick. And I was looking at multiple warehouses in Frederick. I always knew that I wanted a warehouse gym, and I was just looking everywhere. And so we kind of got to the point to where I went to 14 different warehouses, and I got a lot of no's. I got a lot of, well, you're a first time business owner. And when I say no's, this is from landlords that like, I'm acquiring about the space. I'm saying, hey, here's my business. This is what I'm planning to do. Can I rent this space from you? And like I said, I got a lot of no's. I got a lot of, you're not ready. I got a lot of, you're a first time business owner. I got a lot of, you're not a businessman. I got a lot of, well, gyms aren't really doing well right now. So keep in mind, this is post COVID when a lot of gyms all around the United States are closing left and right. Gyms are closing everywhere. And so a lot of landlords were feeling very skeptical about even wanting to rent to a gym because they've had probably businesses that were in their spaces that didn't, had to go out of business. So at the time, it's post COVID, right? It's 2021, and they still like have like a weird feeling towards gyms. So for myself, they were looking at me and they're like, you got a plan that, but I don't really like it. One guy said to me, he said, gyms are too loud. The neighbors would be mad. I'd rather avoid the conflict. Okay, so I put my dreams on the back burner because you're thinking about future conflict with your neighbors. Cool. Another landlord said to me, he was like, well, what about all the other gyms in Frederick? Frederick has a bunch of Orange Theories and F45 and Planet Fitness. And I'm like, if you read my business model and you think that my gym should be in the same sentence as any one of those other gyms, then this isn't the right spot for me. So fast forward, again, pushing. One of the last places I saw, this might have been like the 13th, 14th spot I saw. And most of the time, you go into a space, usually the real estate agent or the broker is the one that's kind of like sharing. And so he's giving me the tour of the space. I'm like, okay, this is really, really nice. This is like everything that I want. And so then you kind of shake hands, you go on about your business. You send them your business plan. They send it to the landlord, and the landlord says kind of like yay or nay, or they want to see more information. So this landlord, I followed up. I said, hey, any status on my business plan and being able to move forward with the lease? And instead of this man just saying like, oh, like, no, or at this time, like, I'm not really interested, yada, yada, yada. He took his time. He sent me a 3-page reply, basically taking my business plan and tearing it to shreds. I'm talking taking my business plan, going point for point, which in some ways I kind of appreciate it because it gave me a different insight, but he went point for point. And it's kind of interesting to me because I look back, and so the first paragraph of the email I actually have screenshotted. And basically, he kind of starts out the email. And as soon as I read this first sentence, I said, whoa. And then he says, as I see it, this wannabe company. And then he goes on. And as soon as I read wannabe company, I'm like, dang, like, for real? Wannabe company? You can't, like I said, you can't just say no. You know how a lot of times, like, people, they'll be like, oh, well, you have to go try for stuff because the worst thing that they could say is no. You're in elementary school and you ask a girl, like, you want to be my girlfriend? And you think all she can say is no. But then in front of all your people at the lunch table, she's like, ew. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, come on, bro. Like, you could have just said no. You could have circled no on the note, but you just decided to say ew in front of everybody. Come on. So that's how I felt with this landlord. I'm like, wannabe company is crazy. Wannabe company. So to this day, I feel like people ask, why do you have such a chip on your shoulder kind of when it comes to the ebbs and flows of Hometown Barbo and the gym and all this stuff. And I read back that email just to think about how far we've come and how far we still need to go and how far I want to continue to grow the gym out. And it never gives me like a sense of satisfaction when I read, on my last episode, or no, two episodes ago, I talked about the difference between being satisfied and being content. And so I'm not satisfied with the gym right now. The gym's doing well. I'm not satisfied. I'm content with myself and the things that's going, but I also recognize on what I need to continue to do to grow the gym out. So 14 warehouses, no hope. And so at the time, I'm feeling like extremely hopeless. I'm feeling like maybe this is the time that I pull out. Maybe this is the time that I actually don't do this anymore. This is the time where I take my dream and I maybe this is God's way of telling me that, hey, this isn't your time yet. I heard someone say a while ago, they were like, sometimes you think it's a door and it's a window. So like, you know how people say like, oh, opportunity knocks. You could take a door and you walk through it and it's a new opportunity. And sometimes you got a door, you got a window, and you got a wall. So here's the three different things, right? So if you see something and it's a door, it's an opportunity. You walk through and you walk through the other side and now you're there. If you see something and you walk to it, you think it's a door, but it's a window, it means that you're supposed to kind of look through it without going through it. You're supposed to look in and be like, oh, okay, well, that's what would happen if I got accepted to that school, but I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to actually go to another school. So then that school becomes a door, and the school that you were thinking about becomes a window. Like you go take a school visit. It's not everything you made it out to be, but that's kind of a window. You saw a window of opportunity. That's where that saying comes from. Come on now. Stay with me. So window of opportunity. You saw that. You looked and you say, you know what? Like, nah, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Then you have a wall where you think it's a door, and you walk into it and you get slammed. You walk right into the wall and you're like, dang, I can't believe it. That was never supposed to be something you were supposed to look or walk into. So that's how I was feeling. I was feeling like maybe this was a window. Maybe this was a wall. Because it hurts. It hurts, hearing no. No one wants to hear no. That's why they say kids' first word is no. Nobody wants to hear no. Hey, can I start this business? I have all the things. I'm doing all the right things. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. No, I will not let you rent this space from me. No, I will not. And it's like powerless. But you got to keep digging. You got to keep pushing. The reason why I thought that I'm supposed to be doing this is because that same feeling that I had where I'm in the trenches, down in the dumps, the borderline depression, extremely anxious. And I'm sitting at a Weiss grocery store parking lot. This is after 14, 15 people have already said no to me. And I'm sitting there and I get a call in the evening. I'm in the parking lot. I just parked. I don't know why, but I'm sitting in the car. I'm just like, it almost seemed like I was waiting for something, but I was waiting for nothing. And I'm sitting in the car. I'm just reflecting on stuff. And I'm about to get out the car and like go get these groceries or whatever. And then I get a call. Random number. Most of the time I do not pick up random phone numbers. Like if it's not registered in my contacts, I'm not answering the phone. But I picked up the call. And it was a guy who I had contacted months ago. There was a space. I thought this space was perfect. It was perfectly priced. It had all the space I wanted. It had all the parking. I called this guy and he told me, he said, you just missed it. He said, it's already off the market. I said, dang. He's like, but you know what? He's like, I'll keep you in mind. He's like, what are you trying to do? What's your business? I told him what it was. He said, okay, I'm going to keep you in mind. If something comes up, I'm going to call you. And you know how when most places say that, they never call you. You go to a job interview, I'm like, we'll call you. They're not calling you. You didn't get the job. And so this guy tells me, if I find it, if something comes up, I'll call you. So I'm thinking, I'm like, there's no way this man is about to call me. But months later, I want to say it was probably a good 6-7 weeks later. So a month and a half, maybe 2 months later. Dude calls me, I answer the phone. He's like, hey, this is so-and-so. We spoke, and I didn't even know who I was talking to. I was like, He's like, hey, so space just came up. It's not even on the market yet. He's like, if you want to come see it tomorrow morning, you'll be first in line. Send me your business plan. I'll send it to the landlord and we'll get started on this. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, and at the time, I had been let down so much at this point that I wasn't even like, I mean, I was excited, but I was also like, probably another no. So we get to the point to where I go see the place. I love it. I see the vision. Needed some work, but I see the vision. And so fast forward, he sends my business plan to the landlord. Landlord contacts me. He's like, this is a great business plan. Let's do this. I believe in you. And I'm sitting there and I'm just in awe because I had not heard that yet. All I heard was the opposite. He was like, no, it makes perfect sense. He's like, Frederick doesn't have a gym like this. And, there's a bunch of residential areas popping up around. And it's just, yeah, he was like, this is a no-brainer for me. And I'm like, wow. And that just resonated so powerful with me because to me, like, a lot of people talk about like divine intervention, all that stuff. And I'm just like, that had to be God. Like that wasn't anything of my doing. It was not anything I did. But I very well could have not answered the phone on that Sunday at 7:32 p.m. I very well could have just let that call go. He probably wouldn't have called me back. And I just think I reflect on that time. I'm like, I don't know where it'd be if I didn't answer that phone, because places like that are hard to come by. Like, warehouses don't just open up every day. So it just makes me think, man, like and I was ready to give up. I was ready to put my dreams back on that back burner, or maybe just off the stove completely and just be like, this is a cooked dream. This is something I'm not supposed to be doing because it's not the right time. When is the right time? There is no right time. Nobody is going to knock on your door, hand you a briefcase of $1 million, or hand you the keys to the car that you want, or give you that diploma, or give you the things that you're looking for. Nobody is going to give it to you. And, they say, when opportunity knocks, but sometimes there's no knock. Sometimes you have to actually get up and like go do something about it. And like I said, I was gearing up for failure. That's also why I didn't tell anybody. So anybody who knows me knows that I'm king gatekeeper when it comes to my personal business. Not gatekeeping in the sense of I'm holding something back from something that would benefit somebody. But if it's information about myself, you're not getting it until it's done. I didn't tell anybody about the gym. I knew that I was going to open up a gym, or at least I wanted to. And I wasn't telling people, or at least the timeline, because I knew that the more people you tell, if it doesn't happen, every single one of those people that come up to you and ask, hey, what happened? Now you got to go tell them one by one. Well, it didn't happen because of, well, it didn't happen because of that. Well, it didn't happen because of that. And it stings that much more every time you got to tell somebody, what happened to that? Oh, what happened to that car you just posted on IG? Well, I couldn't, Oh, what happened to that? Well, and then it's a letdown. So I've learned that if you wait for it to be kind of like concrete and then you tell people, it's already kind of in motion, or it's already happened. And now you're notifying them. So for me, that's kind of what I was gearing up for. That's what I was dealing with. There's no right time. There's no right time. And so even in getting the gym open, it was hell. I mean, new business, inspections, it was rough, man. It was really, really rough. I feel like there was a lot of things that I had to go through, put a lot of kind of calluses on myself. And it made me reflect a lot because, again, they got to a point to where I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen. And I've signed the lease now. So now I'm stuck. The ball's in motion and the county won't let me open the gym up yet. I got to get this done. I got to get that done. I sent him over the drawings of the space. They said, oh, guess what? You need another door. Another door? There's only 2. Make a third. Out of what? Make it. Told the contractor, hey, the county says need a door. Oh, bet. That's going to be this amount much more, or this amount more than what we originally quoted you. Okay, let's do it. Put the door in. County comes back, hey, you're going to have to do this. All right, let's buy that, put that in. Hey, you're going to have to do this. And it seemed like every time I was getting closer to the finish line, they would move that finish line back another 10 feet. And then I'd move up some more, and they move it back. And I'm saying they move it back as in, like, I'm sure this was things that they needed, but it wasn't like, these are all the things you need to do at once. Get it done, and then you're good. No, it was like, oh, you finished this? All right, do this. Oh, you finished this? Hey, do this. And you're like feel like you're getting pulled in a bunch of different directions. So, felt hopeless. I'm like, this gym is never going to open. Then I made the mistake of when the gym was first being built, being built out, I put a date on it. I said, opening day. I had no knowledge of what was happening. I did not know the process. And I'm over here trying to tell people when it's going to open. Opening day, July 7th. Mark your calendar, July 7th, opening day. Guess what? July 7th came around. It was not open. Then I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to get pushed a month. Opening day, August 7th. August 7th came around. Wasn't open. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm hopeless, anxious, worried. I've never been much of an anxious person, but that was the most anxious I've ever been in my whole life. So the Bible says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. So it also says that, like, cast all your cares, for he cares for you. That's something that I've always kind of lived by, like in times of like worry and like being anxious, is to just kind of sit back. Like, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Am I supposed to be doing this? Like, I feel like you gave me a great opportunity. That guy called me. That had to be you. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Doesn't feel that way. So fast forward, we get to the last inspection. And this is supposed to be the most stringent. I'm talking like this is supposed to be the most stringent inspection. I was worried, sick. I scheduled the inspection on Friday, and the guy was scheduled to come out on Monday to do the final inspection. So I had all weekend just to sit on. I didn't care about nothing else. I was sitting there all weekend about to throw up. I didn't have no appetite because I already knew if I failed this inspection, it's going to be another week, 2 weeks, whatever, until the gym opens. So Monday comes around. Guy comes in. I'm terrified. And he comes in and he just has like a smile on his face before he even walked in. I'm like, oh, this is strange. And he was just like, hey, I seen what you've been doing. I seen some posts on Instagram. I hear some buzz about this gym. I'm excited to take a look. So it really turned out I gave him more of a tour than him doing an inspection. And, he did his part. He did what, he looked at everything, and then he looked back at me. He like as he was exiting, he looked back at me and he said, you're doing a good thing here. He was basically saying like, well done. And man, when I tell you, I almost just passed out, and I really just started like kind of breaking down in front of him as he's leaving, and shake his hand. And as soon as he leaves the door, because he's like, you're good. Like, he was like, that's your inspection. Like, he was like, I'll send you over the paperwork, like, you're good to open. And I basically fell to my knees. And I was just like bawling. It was just everything that had been weighing down on me for months had just like came out that day. And I was just like, I can't believe that I'm at this point now to where like I can open this gym up that I've been sitting on for so long. Oh, and I was so happy. That was one of the top, I'd say like top 4 happiest I've ever been in my life in that moment. If I could just be back in that moment at times, that was one of the most happiest points I've ever been in my entire life. That was a feeling that I don't know if I could ever recreate. Insane feeling. The main gist is a lot of times we wait and wait and wait and wait until we think that it's the right time for something. And then we sit there kind of like with our hands open or our hand out, and we just wait for someone to kind of, drop those new house keys in your hand, new apartment, car keys, new job, whatever it may be. And we think that that's just going to be that, finally, it's my time. Let me go do this. Doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. You have to get up. You have to get denied. You have to get the door slammed in your face. You have to have those emails that tear your business plan down. You have to have all those things happen to you because you will not know how to appreciate a good thing. So what's next for me? Find out on episode 7. We out.